What's howling, everybody? I'm Batwolf and welcome to another episode of Art Time. Today's episode is dedicated to an ongoing series of taking various video game characters and asking which of the DC Comics Lantern Corps that they would belong to. The characters I have chosen come from the comments from the last video and those who have some new releases coming this year. Those characters are Kirby, Doomslayer, Shadow the Hedgehog, Link, and Cloud Strife. With the geek facts out of the way, let's power up our rings and let us begin. In this channel's history, we've delved into a lot of characters, but none are so versatile, as deadly, as pink, as the warrior of Dreamland, Kirby. Don't let that lovable face fool you. In the words of Buttercup the Unicorn,
He seemed plush and huggable on the outside, but inside, he's a monster.
Jokes aside, Kirby is one of the last of a clan of Star Warriors who take on the duties of keeping peace in the galaxy. Why does that sound familiar? Kirby can use his absorbing abilities to adapt and shapeshift in a mission and foil the plans of the dastardly King Dedede. While he might sound hardcore, Kirby is actually very kind. His bright personality and smile not only brings hope to those he stands with, but their confidence in his sheer will and toughness. Now when it comes to choosing a Lantern Corps, I struggled to settle on just one corps that would be perfect for him. After all, he has a general love for all things, has a certain selfishness when inhaling others for their abilities, and brings absolute fear to his enemies. Fortunately, there is a Lantern Corps with the powers of all others. Kirby is in the White Lantern Corps of life. It doesn't matter if you are friend or foe, Kirby will fight, fly, and morph into any shape in order to save you, not just in the name of freedom, but for the bright, pure light of life. For Kirby's design, I wanted to make sure that the line art was soft and had the same feel from the Smash Bros. Games. I debated on whether or not that I was going to make his skin color his usual pink, but then I thought how cool would it be if he had inhaled the ring and actually became the power of life. So I put him in essentially what is White Lantern pants and put a sort of power ring belt on it. Having him fly in space with some blinding speed, here is Kirby, the White Lantern. In the words of Albert Einstein, persistence is the most powerful force on Earth. It can move mountains. In the distant future, humanity used that persistence to advance in weaponry, science, and travel. However, when reaching for the top of that mountain, their misdirection and curiosity had them messing with powers they did not understand, introducing them to a literal hell. Demons roam the earth, necromancers plagued the lands, and forces of evil seemed to rule. Many lives were lost, and humanity yearned for revenge. A particular human, who proved to be quite the thorn in Hell's side, was a space marine named John, aka Doom Guy. Wanting revenge for the death of his family, Doom Guy spent years slaughtering the citizens of Hell. Eventually, our hero was captured. The alchemists of Hell saw the potential of using this warrior for their evil purposes, experimenting on him and contorting him. While they were successful in turning him into a merciless weapon, it did not work in their favor, turning John into something else. The only one who could bring Hell's doom was the only thing they feared, the Doomslayer. If you think that it's as simple to say that the vengeful, aggressive slayer of demons could only be in the Red Lantern Corps, you would be right. Yes, the one-man army has a lot of will and brings gut-wrenching terror to even the mightiest of Hell. The Slayer's true fuel that drives him to make all of Hell suffer is for what they took from him. His rage took him so far that he even killed Doom's version of the devil. The being that thought that his savagery was so impressive, he pulled the old sincerest form of flattery on him and copied his likeness. Some say the Slayer's just a monster, a weapon to be targeted, but maybe, just maybe, when all of Hell is slain, our warrior can end his war and finally find peace. For now, the Doomslayer finds himself in the familiar place of rage, vengeance, and the power of the Red Lantern Corps. The concept I came up with for Doomslayer was to capture the moment that the ring had come into his possession and turn his armor into a rock-like, sharp, living Red Lantern uniform. Inspiration from this design came from, of course, the Doom Eternal armor and from Injustice 2. When these two ideas actually came together in this design, I was really excited, but I was also kind of nervous. The one thing I was worried about is that in the past I've done really cool characters with armor like this, such as the Master Chief design I did, and unfortunately the background had just kind of killed it. I was determined to not let history repeat itself. So instead of placing him in some barren wasteland, I put him right in front of the red power core, using his rage and bloodlust to power his new ring. Here is Doomslayer, the Red Lantern. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what perfection looked like? If you thought the perfect life form would look more like Superman, an angel, or an Olympian, you probably wouldn't expect the perfect life form to be a black and red hedgehog. Genius scientist Dr. Gerald Robotnik needed a cure for his granddaughter Maria's terminal illness. Taking a contract with the US government in hopes of crafting immortality, they created the perfect life form. They created Shadow the Hedgehog. While he lived his first 12 years in captivity, Shadow grew close bond with Maria and looked at her as one of the only good things in his life. However, her life was cut short when the organization GUN invaded their facility and shot her in the attempt to save Shadow. With her dying breath, Maria made Shadow promise that he would protect the people of Earth. Shadow was abandoned and put into stasis for 50 years. Eventually, the Hedgehog was awoken by Gerald's grandson Ivo, who wanted to use his powers to conquer the world. In his rage and disdain for humans, Shadow vowed to destroy the world. However, after his battle with Sonic and friends, he was reminded of his promise he made to Maria, and the beauty of the world he was supposed to protect. As we know, a character who vows to protect life and has control over his emotions could be quite the contender for the White Lantern Corps of life. However, the thing that drives Shadow, the thing that he needed to be reminded of, is his compassion. The Indigo Lantern Corps is full of people who have overwhelming amount of compassion or those who had none. I believe this encompasses Shadow perfectly. I do believe he could be a contender for the White Lantern Corps, but until he can truly let go of his pain and embrace life as his own, he will always be driven only by his compassion. Fortunately for this design, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted his hood to be on, and for him to wield his power in one hand and the staff in the other. I do love the hooded look that a lot of these lanterns had, and I definitely wanted to make sure that I incorporated that into this design, seeing as Shadow is like one of the biggest edgelords in gaming history. I made sure that I incorporated the spikes on his head and made sure that I added some little grooves into the hood. I liked the portal effect that I used for the Gwen Stacy design, so I added that here along with some highlights and some extra shading. Taking on the purpose to bring compassion to the entire galaxy, here is Shadow, the Purple Lantern. Power, wisdom, courage. These are the building blocks that construct the Triforce. With such power in the Kingdom of Hyrule, there are those who seek to use it for selfish means, such as the evil warlock Ganondorf. Fortunately for Hyrule, there is an embodiment of courage that fights for the good of the people. A Highland hero of the ages known as Link. Raised in the forest of Kokiri, Link grew up to become a caring and brave young man. So brave, in fact, that in just 10 years of age, the young swordsman saved a woman responsible for choosing who would gain the power of the Triforce of Courage. With this power, Link became a noble and capable hero, inspiring, fighting, and shapeshifting to save not just Hyrule, but even heroes and kingdoms from other worlds. When it came to a Lantern Corps, I'm sure most of you would think that the Green Lantern Corps would be a perfect fit. Well, not necessarily. Link does have a strong sense of justice and is seemingly one of the only characters to battle against the likes of Ganon, Vati, and Majora without fear corrupting his heart. However, where Link's true power lies is in the inspiration he gives to those around him. Through the Legend of Zelda series, Link has been the embodiment of hope that lights up the hearts of all. His heroism and success bring so much hope that even the goddess Hylia made it so that Link would be reborn over and over to continue to be a champion of good. At this point in time, Link has been reincarnated over 10 generations and shows no signs of slowing down. Evil may change its face and may use different names, but the one name all people trust in, the one warrior who is their best hope of shining the light on those who hide in the dark, is the new Blue Lantern, Link. For his uniform, I took inspiration from the Young Justice series Razor's look, and Link's more traditional depiction from the video games, turning his pointed hat into more of a wizard's cloak. Since I knew there was going to be a lot of blue in this design, I wanted to make sure that I experimented with different colors to see what worked, which is why I made the alien planet more of this orange color, and I wanted the effects from his shield to sort of mix together, adding this fiery red look to it, making the shield absorb damage, and I think it looked pretty cool. With all of these experiments of colors, it turned into one of the most attractive designs I've made. And with the galactic power and responsibilities on his shoulders, here is Link, the Blue Lantern. As we grow up, most look up to people around us to model ourselves to imagine who we could become. For Cloud Strife, he looked up to those who fought as soldiers and were honored as heroes across planet Gaia. Even as a young man, Cloud dreamed of joining Soldier and fighting alongside his idols. Failing to become part of the military force, Cloud was teased and grew to grow quite the chip on his shoulder. While some told him that it wasn't meant to be, Cloud never gave up, and not only fought alongside his idols, but battled against them when they revealed their true ambitions of evil. In a world of massive dragons, half angels that can shoot supernovas, and ancient aliens, it's hard to believe that Cloud has not only survived all these things, but is on par with each and every one of them. When it comes to a Lantern Corps and looking at his personality traits, he has almost everything in common with other members of the Green Lantern Corps. When in doubt, he muscles through his enemies with brute force, has a healthy amount of anger issues, and has an overwhelming need to stand up and do what's right. The Guardian of the Lifestream will be there, with the same fury in his heart, but a new symbol on his chest. For the Guardian of the Lifestream, of course I had to incorporate at least one of his amazing and famous swords. The Buster Sword has always been my favorite, so I made that the construct. For Cloud, I didn't want to go with the usual Green Lantern uniform. I wanted him to look less like Jon Stewart or Hal Jordan, and more like Guy Gardner. No, not the one from the new Superman movie, from Young Justice. Yeah, I'm not trying to give Cloud a bowl cut. For Cloud's background, I wanted to make sure that it was in the conversation of having some of the best backgrounds in my designs, especially now that I made something like Link's. Again, I wanted something big, flashy, and have a lot of color, so I added a supernova in the background. I'm so glad I trusted my gut with that one, because it resulted in an epic final shot of Cloud Strife, the Green Lantern. So here's if these video game characters were in Lantern Corps. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you like these designs. I like having variety for these type of videos, so please don't be shy and let me know what video game characters you'd like to see in the future. And definitely subscribe for more content on the Batwolf Enterprises channel. That said, this is Batwolf,